Welcome back to the Harbor. I'm your host, the Kino Cowboy. I'm here with my co-host Scott Keith, Austin Flash Casher. Today we're back for another Halloween pick with the Omen, 1976. I believe this might none of us had seen this before, or some of us.
I've seen it.
Oh,
I saw
okay.
it when I was like a young kid,
Okay, yeah.
and it scared me a lot more.
I was gonna say it's usually rare for us to not all three have seen it, so I was
Right.
wondering. But somehow
Um,
this is one I missed over the years. I just never got around to it
yeah,
because
me too.
it wasn't one of those like overly franchised. Like
Uh,
There's more than you would think.
there was
there's
There's
more
a
than
like
I
TV
think, but
there's a
it's
series.
not
lot.
like those sequels aren't as like prevalent or as popular as like a lot of other horror
They
Yeah,
sequels.
it's
were
not
on
Halloween 2.
they were
Yeah.
on the Sci-Fi Channel so fucking much
Oh,
growing up
really?
that I watched these. I've seen all of them. But they were like made for TV.
But to last week, Scott and I did In the Mouth of Madness starring Sam Neill, and I looked at the third Omen and it also stars Sam Neill. And I was like, oh, okay, a little connection.
Horror icon, man. Also, this movie has David Warner. It has who's the photographer in this who plays Jennings, and he was the guy who visited Sam Neill in the asylum in the last movie. He's
Holy
also
cow.
Baxter Stockman in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze, and he's in Tron. I like him. I like him. He's
Yeah,
no,
okay,
I just
yeah.
he has a bulbous nose and a weird accent, and I like him.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's crazy yeah. Not that's crazy because we were
It's
Good
a
just
little
weird thing where
connection,
like
man.
it's almost like somebody watched this and we're like, we need a British guy who can just talk to the protagonist. Let's for In the Mouth of Madness, let's get the guy from the Omen who talked to the protagonist. It's a weird, I don't know. It's always weird how casting agents and just agencies market their actors and people fall into these weird niches, you know?
it's
Some of
also
them I
like
get.
I never pay attention who until I watched it who directed it and it surprised me. Richard Donner
Yeah.
was like,
And this is the movie right before Superman.
I
This
know.
is the movie that people were like, "Oh, he should direct Superman," which I don't understand
Yeah.
at all. I like Richard Donner. I like Superman kind of for the stupidity of it, for the 70s ness, and the fact that
That's an all-time classic. I like the
and
second
yeah,
one
the
too.
Lex Luthor's entire plan is just a weird harebrained real estate scheme that makes my head explode.
I like uh I like both versions of Superman too, his cut and the Richard Lester version. I think they're both interesting.
I think I've only seen the original. I don't think I've seen the Donner cut.
Um,
Daughter cut.
I like both of those first two Superman movies. Um, and when I rewatched Superman last year, I didn't realize the version I was watching was the 3 hour cut, which I didn't know existed, but it
God
worked pretty
damn.
well.
Really, I didn't know
Uh,
there was a 3 hour cut of
which is
the.
the Superman with Richard Pryor in it? It's
That's the third one. That one sucks.
my favorite one.
That one blows.
Just for the poster.
They made Richard Pryor unfunny. How do you even do that?
It's pretty. It's pretty hard.
Well, Richard Donner, if you don't know at home, he also made The Goonies, all the Lethal Weapon movies, Scrooged, stuff like that.
You dueled and
The
shit.
yeah, this one, The Omen.
It is weird. As big as this movie is and was one of the biggest movies of the year, and it spawned a horror franchise. It's not talked about and is oeuvre as much, just because it's like we're saying, it's so different than so much of his more known work. I mean, as big as The Omen was, it's no Superman.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember it being talked about more when I was a kid, like in middle school, kids would talk about The Omen. And now I'm watching, I'm like, you didn't watch this movie as a kid. This would kind of probably bored you or something as a kid.
It's I did see it as a kid, genuinely, because again, my parents were
Okay.
didn't really give a shit what I watched. But I watched it with my dad. But it was on Sci-Fi Channel. The only scene I even like truly remember because I was real young was the "I'm doing this for you, Damien. Damien, look over here," which is
Oh, okay.
still
That's
Yeah.
famous. I knew that. I knew that from the I Love the '70s on VH1, and they talked about this movie. That's how I. That's how I. That actually, that entire series of I Love the X is really. It's just like this pop culture and stand up comedy
Oh, it's the
fusion.
greatest. It's the greatest thing to come from VH1, besides
Yeah,
its real
yeah,
life.
which is kind of a low bar, but
They should bring
it's
back that series. That series fucking bomb.
they could. I remember comics all complaining about it because they didn't get paid for anything, and they were
Yeah,
like,
well,
can you send a cab?" And they were like, "No." And they're like, "Okay."
comedy doesn't deserve to be paid. If you want to be paid as a comic, then you're not an artist.
Well,
Well, I'm an artist then.
this this is another episode of The Harbor where Jerry Goldsmith is the composer who also did Planet of the Apes and Logan's Run and
That makes
Alien and
sense.
Poltergeist and Patton and Chinatown and the list goes on. But also it's like how versatile can you be? Compare this to Logan's Run in the same like a couple years apart or maybe not even that far apart. It's crazy.
Dude, reading this, like the critics really didn't like the soundtrack. Is what it sounds like when it first came out. And I'm like, wow, that's so, it's like so in your face. I get why you wouldn't like it, but I kind of love that. Like they
I
go from like walking when the first time it happens, they're like walking and they lose track of Damien for like 10 seconds. And it's
Yeah.
the most like spooky, like sinister thriller song ever. And then immediately changes to like happy song, seeing
Yeah.
little Satan laughing at him.
I think it's underrated.
I
Like
love it.
ahead of its time.
Yeah.
the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I mean, really think about it. Like, this is a this style of a horror film is not common. So,
No, this
and
is more like the a lot of it's like fear of anticipation.
yeah, it's got this major kind of mystery element to it, even though you know what's coming, stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's
Which
just
I think I would argue works to the detriment of the movie. And part of that's the benefit of hindsight because we know what the movie's about. But also, if you saw the trailers for this movie, you know what it's about. You know the kid's the Antichrist. And half of this movie, they're just finding out that the kid's the Antichrist.
well, it's
So,
not finding it out. It's being it. The aspect I like is that like, well, yeah, he's got to find it out, but it's how far can this go before he finally truly believes it?
right. And that's what it's watching Gregory Peck, which, first of all, seeing Atticus in this role where he's like having to kill his son because he's the Antichrist is
Oh
kind of,
fuck, that is Atticus Finch.
yeah, it's Gregory Peck. It's weird.
That's, that mean, I didn't put that together for some reason. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I'm used to seeing when I think Gregory Peck, I think stoic Atticus in the courtroom defending what's his name, and it's it is completely different. Now he does kind of have that like stately because he's an ambassador, that like stately um aristocratic sort of feel.
He's the
Um
horniest aristocrat or your basic average horny aristocrat. I don't know any aristocrats.
Dude, they're all hanging out on Epstein's Island. They're
They
pretty.
fuck a lot in that movie, dude.
Well, first
Yeah.
of all, how old is he trying to have a fucking kid? He's like 60 years old in this movie.
Al Pacino just had a kid at like 90.
Yeah, but
So
like that's so weird. Like him and his wife are way older, especially him. Because I looked it up. He was 60 years old. I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I don't know. You
money.
could argue back then that, like, oh, this guy's 40 because he just smokes 2 packs a day and he's stressed out because of his job. And also, Hollywood's always done that, though. They've always been like, here's a younger woman, and here's an a guy actor 20 years older. Here's Jim Carrey dating Zoe Deschanel or whatever.
Well, I just even for back then, I was like, wow. But
It is a lot. And I don't know. I just shrug and get over it.
yeah.
Um,
And then so if you're watching this and you don't know the movie, and for some reason Gregory Peck and his wife are trying to have a child, and it starts at the hospital, or him going towards the hospital, and at the hospital, and the baby has died, but the wife doesn't know it yet. And conveniently, another baby has been born at the same time, and the mother is dead.
Such
And
a
so,
fucking Stupid plot point. I love that.
It's really an insane way to start the movie.
Hey, I know
To
your baby
think that
died, but your baby could have not died.
It
really
was a
to think that
blessing.
anybody would do this or be desperate or be grieving enough in the moment. And that's might be what it is. You're grieving enough in the moment, and then you make a split-second decision, and then you can't take it back. You can't be 2 weeks later regret it and tell your wife, "Hey, by the way, this is not our kid." You're kind of locked in when you make that decision.
There's no going back.
Yeah.
If that
So
guy makes that decision, what's his diplomacy like?
Yeah, for real. Was there
the
a lot of
kid being named
diplomacy and
Damien,
fucking?
that's pretty funny how on the nose that is. But
Is that the
I don't know,
first time
it's an
any
interesting
son of
plot point.
Satan's been named Damien? Because I feel like there's a lot of characters named Damien that are related to
Damien,
Satan now.
demon, you know.
Yeah, because it sounds enough like demon. I don't know what the etymology is. I'm sure it's not demon. Um, I don't know. Matt Damon, more like Matt Demon.
Matt
That's what the
Damon.
anti-Hollywood
So
people
he
say.
says, yes, I don't even want to tell my wife that she lost the baby. So, and then maybe later adopt later on or something or try again. We'll just adopt this kid. Fuck
We're
it.
just gonna fuck a bunch after this and make a real baby and get rid of this one.
I do like that it takes the time after that to show them grow as a family and how much him and her enjoy each other's presence as husband and wife, and they walk around in this beautiful kind of atmosphere and
In Roma,
and you learn that he's kind of an important figure, and then that he gets a better job and they move to a better estate out in like
Estate.
London, I think. And
yeah.
I don't know, it's just a great taking just 5 minutes to show all of this. So when things start happening to his wife, you really feel bad. And
Movies used to the inciting incident used to be a little further into the screenplay, I feel, and that they would show a bit more of the world before the inciting incident. Um I mean, we have the inciting incident of like him adopting. That's the first scene, but as far as the "it's all for you, Damien," iconic, which is creepy, in this movie's atmosphere. And this is also a movie. It's funny. I was visiting my parents, and I asked if they wanted to watch this, and they were both like, "Oh no, that'll keep me up at night." Which I didn't realize both my parents were so horror averse, which actually explains my like comparative lack of literacy in the genre. Because I was like, oh, that's why one reason we just didn't have this in the house growing up is because my dad's a pussy. I guess I don't
my
know.
mom was too, yeah.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
weird
I
because
had to
Silence
like
of the Lambs is one of my mom's favorite movies. So
my
I'm like,
mom too.
which is
That's
way
fucking
creepier than this movie.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, like Hannibal Lecter is way creepier than anything. I mean, this movie has some creepy parts, but come
This
on.
is just it's creepy. This movie's scary to Christians because it's like, whoa, what if this is like.
Well, and that's the thing that obviously this came out on the tails of The Exorcist, where people were much more religious than they are now. Yeah, we have like
Says who?
Me.
says the census, but but it's one of those things where this influenced people's perceptions of religion because this movie is not biblically accurate. There's like parts of it, there's this poem that he's quoting over and over that's not in Revelation, which by the way, and I'm going to pull something from Longlegs, it's not Revelations like I think the priest says, it's Revelation. Because I'm a weirdo. Because when I was a child, I'm talking like 11, at night after I was put to bed, I would stay up with a flashlight under my covers reading the book of Revelation just because over and over, just because I thought it was metal as fuck. I've read the book of Revelations like 7 times. I'm serious. It's been a while,
It
but
scared the shit out of me. I have trauma from it.
no, I thought it was cool. I thought it was badass and metal as
Yeah,
fuck.
I wasn't so scared of like the Book of Revelation as I was like the Mayan Doomsday Calendar.
Weird.
I used to have panic attacks over 2012. I'd be like in my
Yeah,
my
when you were in
driveway.
high school, when you were almost an adult,
Yeah, dude, I totally believed in that shit. I'm not gonna lie to you.
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
well, it
I was
happens.
literally like crying in my
I
fucking room.
remember I was talking it was my senior year of high school in 2012. It come out kind of recently, and I was talking about 2001: A Space Odyssey in homeroom, and then this like redneck kid was like making fun of me. He's like, "You've seen 2012," and I thought he was talking about 2010, the year we made contact. And I was like, "No, we haven't seen that one." This is how socially inept I was in high school. I don't know. There's no point in this. I was just in there in school talking about Kubrick, and everybody wanted to talk about Roland Emmerich, and I was like, "Fuck that." I don't watch that movie. I watched 2001 because I'm a patrician. Um,
I've
but
seen,
it's a weird thing because like the Antichrist is not the son of the devil. That's thrown around a lot, and that's from
yeah,
this movie. That's not true. That's just not. The
Well, have
Antichrist
you ever
is
met
a
the
human
Antichrist?
figure who is a false prophet.
Barack Obama.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've people say that about everybody. I've heard like I've also heard like I saw somebody post that it's Trump, a Christian lady
Yeah,
I know, that
yeah,
he's the
right, dude.
Antichrist.
Trump is not the Trump is not the
That's what
Antichrist.
I was thinking though, is like that's what I remembered from Bible school is like, oh, well, it's not the son of the devil, literally, but okay. I can see it being like a figurative kind of
No, but it's this
666.
very like simplified, almost yin and yang. Almost like how there's like nega Scott Pilgrim. It's like there's a nega Jesus too. Like you gotta
Hey,
have that.
say that a lot faster.
the nega chin.
The no, is like okay, we gotta fight Dark Link now in the Water Temple. Like it's
Yeah.
that level of logic for the Omen, which is fine. I mean, I actually understand why critics would. This movie is schlocky at parts. I find that fun, but I also I like this movie is not, to me at least, on the level of some other horror classics.
I think it's a classic. I really liked it. I think it was great.
I enjoyed it. I I if I had seen this movie just on TV and had for some reason had no idea of the cultural legacy, I would have not immediately thought like, oh yeah, that's a classic. But it's one of those things like the cultural legacy, I think, is so much because of how it influenced people's perceptions of I don't know, the Bible, I guess. And all that. Because the real book of Revelation's weird. It's all metaphor and it might be about the Roman Empire, not the actual end times. I don't know. And there's like beasts and there's horrors and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, the
Even our conceptions of hell are from the lake of fire and sulfur that's mentioned in Revelation, which is not explicitly laid out to be hell. The Bible actually doesn't have a lot to say about the afterlife and even less about depicting it. All of our modern depictions of hell are from like medieval paintings, which were designed to scare illiterate peasants into
yeah.
believing the church. Um, Also, I want to point out while I'm thinking about it, Casher's Catholic or was raised Catholic, so that's another connection. I was raised Methodist, so I don't know. There's no rules. I just went to church for the free donuts.
I got in trouble a lot in church.
The what I liked about the execution of the film is that it wasn't like we're gonna linger on this kid and make him some fucking creepy, annoying prick. He's only around when he's relevant to the plot and he's around the adults. It's not just like following him around or anything. He barely even talks.
The fucking creepiest part about him is that he has such a thick fucking British accent with two American parents.
Yeah.
Mummy and daddy. I fucking hate that. I hate it so
That
much. It
happens when you
scares me.
grow up in if you grew up in
No,
London though,
no,
and you
Yeah.
had
no.
American parents.
I
That'll
don't
happen.
believe it. Threw me out. I couldn't
No,
believe it.
there was a professor like that at my college who he had just spent the first few years of his life in London and the rest in America, but he still had the accent because that's not
Yeah,
something
he's
you just
fucking faking. He's a
lose. He might have
liar.
been. Honestly, that professor might have been.
Yeah, that dude was faking that shit. There's no fucking way, man. I don't believe it.
Yeah, well, I'm watching the movie like, okay, when are we gonna get the first hint of something? And it happens really fast. It's like, okay, the nanny sees the black dog at the birthday party in the distance, which is of course a famous omen of death. And it makes me think of that one kid in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban who has like two lines. He's like, it's an omen of death. And then you've got the grim. And everyone remembers that kid for his 2 lines. And I saw him on TikTok last week, and he's like, "Hey guys," I was like, "Cool, I'm glad this
Hey
guy's
guys,
still."
I'm homeless now. You
No,
could
it was
get
just
my
like
Cash App for
it was
the
really
drugs
one
I
of those
need.
moments. It's like I have 2 lines, I'm gonna kill it. Everyone's gonna remember me after the movie.
Hey, there's no small parts. There's only small actors.
Yeah, but it
Um,
was like I'm like, oh, okay, there's our first little sign. So now something's gonna happen. And then I thought there would be a little more breathing room, and then she immediately kills herself. I'm like, damn, dude.
So
And,
fucking such a good scene.
and
yeah, it's
and
awesome.
that it is really unsettling, and it is very.
Although, yeah, the whole like seeing the whole crowd, none of the crowd like runs immediately to help her. They're all just
Oh,
kind
what are
of
you gonna
standing.
do?
Well, they're all
Well,
just
yeah,
like
and
standing
I also
there.
think it's in shock. Like you're at a distance, you may not even be able to see the noose around her neck.
Yeah, what a
Yeah, but
bizarre
like
scenario.
Gregory
Yeah,
Peck
like
just
it.
like looks for a second and then slowly walks over to his family, hugs them, and rushes the help to go help her. He's just like,
What
go, go, go,
I mean,
go.
that's interesting creatively. But what I like is you see the shot of the kids. Some are freaked out, but some of the kids look like kind of impressed with what they're seeing. That was a detail I noticed. They're like, "Whoa,
Children of the corn type shit.
it was crazy." It's like,
That is crazy, and that's probably how it would be, especially if you're that age, because Damien's real young. Which I like the decision of that they made to like we're not going to do a bunch of child acting in this movie because it's no,
yeah,
and we don't have Haley Joel Osment, so
yeah,
we're not going to do it. So because I don't want to watch like bad child acting for 2 hours, frankly. I mean, that would be that. And also, I don't know if you're 6 or whatever, like, and you see that, like, I bet some kids would like not comprehend or not fully comprehend. They would just be like, "Whoa, what's happening?" They might not have the best conception of death. Maybe, I mean, some would, but
I
it
mean,
depends.
that's
Also,
just
the fact that again, these are all actor kids, and those just might be like their extras acting.
yeah.
Just be like, "Whoa, um."
I mean, that's just such a bizarro thing. Anyway, now
Well,
imagine,
it would be shocking. It would be so shocking. Like it would be not that it wouldn't be gruesome, but like let's say I saw, let's say I was at a kid's birthday party and the nanny like hanged herself, smiling, being "It's all for you." Like
Ah,
the hanging wouldn't even be the creepiest part. It would be the circumstances and what she said and her attitude. Like it would be so bizarre that like I wouldn't be able to process it as a suicide almost. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, there's plenty. Like a lot of people experience something just wild like that, and then it's not until like the next day that they can even process it, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this is what I just experienced." Like even though they're going through it, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But
I think it happened. I think
yeah,
like I know a guy who saw a factory accident once and like
yeah,
he kind of he kind of didn't know how to process it because it wasn't even like one of his coworkers. He was just like visiting. He had a job where he visited a bunch of factories. He worked
yeah.
at OSHA or something. It wasn't good at his job apparently.
Well, imagine you were like busy and you were like, well, they said it's okay. I'm just gonna drop my kid off for this birthday party. And then you pick him up, and the kid's like, "You'll never guess what I saw." You're like,
How was
"What?"
the party? Was there a clown? There was um, which is and this shows you how stupid my film brain is. This just reminded me of the parties he would have in Billy Madison after every grade, when there's like a merry-go-rounds and kids
yeah,
playing
they do
around.
kind of, it does kind of look like that.
And
Yeah.
then Norm Macdonald's drunk in the pool. Like, I don't know. That's a good movie. That's a movie
That's
we
a
should do a
great movie.
podcast.
Why don't we do that movie?
That's I'm not the biggest Sandler fan, but I really like Billy Madison.
I love the 90s Sandler films.
Yeah,
I love the 90s. Yeah,
on VH1.
I love the 70s.
the priest. He comes to visit him pretty
Fucking
quickly
annoying.
after that and
He's so
encourages him to like
annoying.
drink the blood of Christ.
Yeah,
Bro,
and
he's
also
so
I know he's like the whole point is that he's crazy, but I'm like, you're really burying the lead here. Because
he's
he comes in there like you should drink the blood of Christ, but every priest wants you to drink the blood of
he's
Christ.
very virtue signaling.
Yeah. Well, and first of all, I don't know how drinking the blood of Christ is gonna like make you kill your son.
Well,
I don't
it's not the blood of Christ, it's wine. You're drinking yourself into a numbness.
Well, that's
Okay,
true.
well,
Well, don't
sounds
the
like you're getting
Catholics
personal.
believe in transubstantiation where it literally becomes the blood of Christ, which is
Yeah.
even
So
listen, as a
Still tastes like
Protestant,
shitty communion wine.
even as a Protestant kid, I was like, this is clearly a metaphor. Like, I don't never understood that.
we were cannibals.
Yeah, even as a kid, I was like, this is clearly like not meant to be taken literally. And then the Pope's like, no, it's really the blood of Christ. It's really blood.
I got flicked in the forehead by what was his name? His name was Father Tom, because I kept he handed me the wine and I just when I was like 10 years old, and he went flicked me in the fucking forehead.
Well,
you guys use real wine too. We use grape juice. Like,
yeah, I
real
went
wine,
to
real right
Baptist.
leavened bread.
Definitely not at my church.
Yeah, well, Baptists have Josh Duggar.
We have him. We're not getting rid of him anytime soon.
Jesus Christ,
dude!
It's that old joke. What's the difference between Methodists and Baptists? Methodists say hi to each other in the liquor store.
Yeah. Fun story. I ate Mexican food next to the Duggar family a few weekends ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they're, I guess, from around here.
Well, yeah.
I'm glad Arkansas gets that celebrity. We get Johnny
Well,
Cash.
it wasn't Josh. These are all the people that like left the church and stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
Fire
we
Mexican
got Sarah Huckabee Sanders and
right.
the Duggars.
And if you don't know who the Duggars are, that's the 12 kids and counting or whatever. It's that family, and then the dad ended up being a creep, of course.
Not the dad, brother.
Or who is it? The brother?
Yeah.
Brother was fucking his sisters.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was really a trigger warning.
Yeah, that was kind of intense.
I don't know. You're watching The Omen.
It's just like
this movie also must have contributed to the negative perception of Rottweilers back in the day.
Yeah, and baboons, dude.
And those baboons are
that's the thing.
Fucking terrifying.
I used to have a fear of big dogs because in 4th grade, me and my friend went into some random field near my grandparents' house, and we got closer, and there was like closer to some house, and there was this big Rottweiler, and he started chasing us, and I said immediately in my head, like, well, fuck my friend, I guess I just have to get back to my grandparents' house. I was running for my fucking life. It turned out, when I thought about it later in life, I realized that dog was just on a very long leash outside, so I probably would have been okay, but I still had to run because like that thing was like it could have got me.
It's a dog. Yeah.
Were you trying to get your ball back from the blind neighbor's house?
No, I do think about that though.
Hey,
that's every dog. Yeah, real shit. Rest in peace, fucking Babe Ruth. That's Babe Ruth in that.
Babe Ruth.
Whatever his name is.
No, in Sandlot, that's what he is. He's Babe Ruth. It's an analogy for Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth was black.
Babe Ruth was black?
Oh, well,
yeah, look that shit up. No, Babe Ruth was black.
Okay. I mean,
audience, look that shit up.
I guess it's more realistic than the greatest athlete being white. I don't know.
This is the second horror movie we've talked about in a row on this show that has a bunch of big dogs, and then the last one was Dobermans. Now it's Rottweilers. So, but yeah, it's like the part of the fun I had watching this movie is because I'm such like it's wondering how far in would I be like, nope, fuck this, something's going on, I gotta get through this. And like the nanny showing up and immediately wanting to get acquainted with the boy on her own without even like having an interview or even talking or anything. It's like, okay, fuck this.
I'm not a fan of modern helicopter parenting, but also in the 70s, were they so lax that even if you were some foreign dignitary and some random lady with a, conspicuously placed mole on her cheek, so she's bad, like comes up.
Is a mole make you a bad person? Is that a thing?
No, it's like a slight disfigurement, kind of like a witchy kind of thing,
Yeah, it's like a witchy, like the madam in Mulan for someone like who's
she's not evil.
To get them all geisha looking or whatever.
She's just a whorehouse worker.
Yeah, she's just mean. Holy moly.
I shouldn't have said madam. That's not the right word.
Ba, 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 ba.
Anyway, don't get us fucking copyright claimed.
Ba, da, 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 da,
Yeah,
da,
dude,
da.
Zaslav. We may not do any more Warner Brothers clips or
Fuck
Warner
you,
Brothers
David Zaslav.
because we can't even do a 15-second clip of In the Mouth of Madness. We have a new Patreon if you want to see. It's free Patreon if you want to see these episodes without.
It's free, but if you want to donate to my Cash App, you fucking can.
No,
And if you want to buy
no,
my
yeah, our
Patreon,
last episode has no clips on it, even though I spent 2 hours doing it. And
for a movie that's free on YouTube, by the way,
from 30 years ago, yeah.
30 years ago,
Anyway,
because we're really hurting their box office by showing clips to cold open and to comment on the visuals of the movie.
Yeah, because things are supposed to be free, guys. We're capitalists.
oh really?
Right. Well, I mean,
Well,
no,
it is free. It literally is. So
it literally is free with ads, but like, what's more
Oh,
likely?
there we
People are going
go.
to watch, like, I don't know. Like, first of all, if you're watching this, you've probably already seen the movie. And even if you haven't, you might think, oh, I want to go watch that movie now after hearing us talk about it for a bit. So,
yeah. Anyway,
YouTube, complain
Anyway.
about YouTube.
but yeah,
Anyway.
she said instead of like getting like a proper interview, she's like, "Oh, they sent me over when the agency sent me over when they learned what happened."
And they
Oh,
don't even
okay.
ask what agency. She does say, "Here's my references."
Yeah, she
That's like this
does.
is before the internet. You couldn't Google people. So if suddenly, I like an old movie. You just send me like a piece of paper and like these are my references. Like I don't know. Am I going to call everybody?
These are my
I
references.
think about old stuff like that. They would be like, it has the king seal on it. It's like I don't know what the king seal looks like. I don't have Google to be like, what is the king
Yeah,
seal? Like I don't know. It could be anything.
that's true. But yeah, but
I've
that
never
is
even
like,
understood the idea of signatures. Are you going to check my signature? I sign fake I do. Any people ask me to sign a receipt for like just like crap at the gas station. Like I've had that, and I'll just sign it like I'm Lucifer Morningstar, Queen Elizabeth. Like, I don't know. Nobody's gonna check.
Oh, dude,
I'm
checkmate.
edgy.
Sending that
I'm
to the
edgy.
cops. Fuck you.
Call the cops.
no,
I'm
but yeah,
edgy,
it's
dude.
like,
Yo.
what are you gonna do? Yeah, it's stupid. You
But
gotta
also
give
like random like weird vibe lady bringing Rottweilers into my house. Hey, are you so busy? How is this guy left in charge of foreign affairs? What's he doing? Like, he's such a pushover, letting nannies bring Rottweilers around his kids. What's he
Yeah,
gonna
that's for me. That's already like the final straw. You have the audacity to bring a big ass dog in my house that's growling at me. There's no arguing. I'd already be like, "You're fired. Leave. Get the fuck out." That's really strange.
Yeah, she really doesn't want the kid to go
Something's
to
off,
church.
very off about you if you're willing to just do that. That's really strange.
Right. I understand it's for the plot because she's a Satanist or whatever. But
Yeah, but the wife is more. She's more willing to kind of believe or come to an understanding that there might be something truly sickening or fucked up with this kid. And then he takes so much longer, obviously. But when they drive to the church and the kid starts freaking the fuck out, I'd be like, well, fuck it. I'm gonna kick this guy. I'm gonna kick the kid out of the car. Good luck. No, but it's part of that, like, you something insane has happened and you're trying to rationalize the best you can, but there's just nothing left to rationalize. It's like, obviously, this is the most extreme, absurd situation, but there is like that moment where you learn that somebody close to you has suddenly died, and your brain just immediately is like, well, is this person playing a trick on me? Is this a bad joke? Or like, what, I don't know. But that is part of the interesting thing, is how far is Gregory Peck's character willing to try and rationalize this? Okay, this is just a kid at church who doesn't want to go. He's in a bad mood.
yeah,
Okay.
that was me every Sunday.
Yeah.
I was
Boring.
always stoked for church because I got a yoo-hoo and a sausage biscuit.
Oh, really nice.
We would get
Yeah.
donuts sometimes, but
I would get
like,
donuts. We would have
It
donuts.
was the
so-
Bears Den gas station before they started selling
man,
nitrous and fucking glass
well,
roses.
reliable.
Bears Den gas station, dude. Fucking fire little biscuits.
Yeah, the one near
I
my
know.
house, the corner pantry had those
Fuck, dude. Bahama Mamas.
Bahama
I
Mamas.
still
Yeah,
fucking think about those, dude. Those are so fucking good.
me and Matt would walk to get some.
Yeah, dude. I would stop by there like every now and then in the morning to go grab those.
They'd be the only place open during a snowstorm. So my mom would send me, I'd have to walk sometimes all the way to get fucking milk and shit.
Do you remember when we walked all the way to Denny's for our free Grand Slam?
Yeah, that was stupid.
When the snow, that was awful. It was good. That was not.
That's how poor we were back then. We were willing to walk fucking miles for free. And probably at the time was $6. And
Yeah, pancakes. Which, by the way, I will say he's really, and I understand why it's a big deal. He's excited that he's going to be the new ambassador in London rather than Rome. But like, if I had a choice between eating Italian food in Rome for the rest of my career and eating British food in London for the rest of my career in the 70s, like before tikka masala
fucking chippy teas and
no,
iron brew.
Yeah, no, I'm getting my amatriciani, dude. I'm getting that.
You're telling me you don't want to eat mushy peas and jellied eels?
I think I'm good. Peas. I'll take Fra Diavolo any day.
Yeah, you know how fucked England is, like their national dish is chicken tikka masala.
Yeah, that says it all right there.
That says it all right there.
Goddamn fucking colonists.
When I was in London, I was like, no, surely there has to be good British food. And I couldn't find it. I went like, but Nando's, which is a fast casual chicken chain, that was the best. That was the best place.
Everyone talks about Nando's.
A full English breakfast bucks. I will say that. You like your blood.
I don't really want beans with my breakfast.
It's not bad. It's good.
But you know, I'm not gonna say nothing. I've tried to give blood sausage a chance. I just don't like it.
It's so
like it.
Good.
There's a few types. I like Morcillo, which is a Spanish blood sausage. It's good.
Oh, fucking Spain.
Well,
yeah, I'm not that.
I know, I'm joking.
Okay, so this kid doesn't want to go to church. You could just pass it off like that. Okay. But then him and his mom go through a drive-through safari. Have you ever done anything like that?
There used to be Gentry, there used to be a drive-through safari at Gentry, but no, I haven't, and no, I won't. If there's fucking
me either.
If there's fucking baboons in your drive-through, I've also watched a fucking video of a woman stop her car at a safari, get out while she was arguing with her husband, and a fucking tiger comes out, grabs her, drags her into the fucking forest while her mother-in-law and husband run after her.
Jesus, dude, that's dark as fuck.
It's fucking awesome. But it's really fucked up. The woman survived. Her mother-in-law did not.
Oh no.
No.
Well, fuck that. That's insane.
So
they have tigers in a drive-through fucking
That's what
safari?
I said. It was like they were literally like driving through this drive-through safari. It's in like Korea or something. So of course the laws are lax. But it's like it's one of the craziest. It's literally like one of the craziest videos I've ever seen. You don't see like a mauling or anything, but you definitely see like this thing stalk her, grab her by like the back of like her shirt, and then fucking drag her, and you're just like, oh fuck. So like whatever argument they were having, dude, can't be that bad. It would have been hilarious if he just like would have shut the door and drove off.
Yeah, that's nightmare shit.
Who won the argument now?
I'd always heard of these things, but I've never been on one. I don't want to unless they're all herbivores. But
yeah, there's no fucking way I'm doing anything with like a lion or like a baboon. Baboons when they attack make these more terrifying for you. When they attack you, they go directly for the genitals. That's the first thing that they are going for, and they're going to go genitals upwards. It's genitals face.
That's
fucked up, dude. Fuck monkeys.
You know, this is they're pretty terrifying. There's also I looked up because the acting of the baboons is really good. I'm like, Richard Donner knows how to direct baboons. That's why he's good at directing Christopher Reeves. That joke doesn't make sense. I love Christopher Reeves, but it's so what they did. I just googled it to get those baboons to react so violently. They didn't feed the baboons the night before, so they were hungry.
Fucked up. This is so fucking.
I'm not done. I'm not.
I know.
Done.
I read this.
They put food all over the car, so they would get on the car, and to make them angry, they kidnapped 2 baby baboons and kept them in the car. So the baboons would be like angry trying to get in the car.
That's insane.
So apparently they didn't get the reaction they wanted from the baby baboons, so they grabbed the alpha and put it in the trunk of the fucking car, and that's what made them.
Jesus, really?
Jesus.
Yeah.
This is pre-PETA.
Fucking dude, yeah,
Back when
no,
movies were movies.
yeah, back when movies were awesome. Let's bring back that kind of shit, dude.
This is why all these animal rights activists, you can't put a baboon in a trunk anymore, and everybody's got to
Fuck
complain. All
baboons.
this woke bullshit. I can't torture animals in my trunk anymore.
There's a movie with what's his name from who plays Hellboy? What's his name?
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman plays in a movie where he's trapped on an island with genetically mutated.
The Island of Dr. Moreau?
No, it's like genetically mutated smarter baboons, and it
Huh.
fucking terrified me as a kid. But it was like a shitty sci-fi film.
I've never even heard of that. Yeah.
Let me see if I can figure out what the name of it is, because it's like it was Ron Perlman baboon movie.
Well, at this point,
Primal Force. It's called Primal Force, 1999. That movie fucking
You've
scared
seen
me as a
Primal
kid.
Force sounds like an arcade game I would play in the lobby of a
Well,
movie.
it's because there was Primal
Yeah.
Fury or Primal Rage, whatever it was,
Yeah.
which was that fucking badass. You play as like a monkey or a velociraptor violent fighting game.
I think pretty cool though.
Yeah.
that
Ron Perlman
though,
versus mutant baboons. Damn, what's this?
the scene brought back memories around Arkansas that there's some of those like Tiger King esque
Yeah, it was in Gentry. They shut that shit down. Gentry's like
shitty places.
It's like
My
30 minutes
dad,
where I'm at.
my dad always knew someone or some way through the restaurant. He took me and my mom to this guy he knew who had like basically it was not even like an attraction. It was like this guy has tigers in cages in his backyard, basically.
What the fuck?
Basically,
Yeah, I've heard.
How
I've
have
heard
we
stuff like
never
that
heard
around
of
here.
you did that? How have I not heard that
I'd
story?
forgot, dude. And I
That
remember
wasn't
like,
around the lake in our hometown, was it? Was that
it was outside of our hometown,
Yeah, I think I heard about that guy. I never went.
And we went
Fuck
and
that.
looked, and it was like it was fucked. My mom said the tigers looked fucked, like it was not good. And I remember her being pissed off because like we went up and like one the only thing I remember is like one of the tigers looked at me. I was like 6 years old, and it like licked its lips. And my mom said, "Fuck this, we're leaving." She's like, "That's enough."
Dude, there's that scene of, like one of the only things I still remember from the Tiger King, besides him making all those dudes kill themselves, was like the scene where that woman's just like feeding the tiger and it like literally like rips her arm off on fucking screen.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, why would anybody want to keep something like that as a fucking pet?
Yeah,
Like-
like you see all those videos of like oil sheiks in Saudi Arabia have lions as pets just as a status thing.
I'm just glad people are like learning like no chimps. Chimps are the worst. Like,
Nah,
She gets-
dude.
Yeah,
The
she
worst
gets her
thing
arm
Ronald
ripped
Reagan
off.
did for America is convince us that chimps were fun loving and friendly.
She gets her arm ripped off, and then the first thing he says is, "I'm never gonna financially recover from this."
which is so funny.
What a prick!
Yeah. Free Joe Exotic.
So anyway, back to the movie.
Yeah,
As I'm just doing research on my second screen here. Gregory Peck's son died by suicide shortly, like, and then he was kind of semi-retired, his 60s.
Semi.
And
Maybe
no, like for real, his son, his son killed himself in 75,
Damn.
So, and then
Yeah.
he takes this movie about having to kill his son who's the Antichrist. That's
yeah, Jesus,
a crazy way to process that.
Jesus
that's
Christ.
insane.
Oh man.
But there's the aspect of this film which ultimately makes it more interesting for me is that there's just this photographer who gets kind of caught up in everything, and he knows that there's some sort of connection going on, and he shows up at that soccer game, whatever stupid European sport
Rugby.
they were playing. Yeah,
Rugby, dude.
whatever.
Rugby's actually kind of cool. It's not cricket or tiddlywinks.
Okay, well,
No, cricket can go fuck itself. Cricket, there are cricket games that last like 3 days.
Dude,
Right.
there's a fucking cricket league in Bentonville, and it's actually super cool to watch.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
we're not inviting you back.
Also, the cricket team for the U.S. beat like Pakistan, which is a huge fucking deal.
That's true. Yeah,
Wow.
they got that British colonialism. I mean, so do
Yeah.
we. To be fair.
Well, it's like that cricket team, they're all just like, that was like our hobby. Like, it's something that they did in their spare time, which is what I like imagine this Bentonville crew is.
USA, USA.
Well, he takes a picture of that priest after he talked to Gregory
Mhm.
Peck's character, and I'm like, well, how do you know they would both be at the game? And then you figure out that he's like really deep into it, and I'm glad there was that aspect because I always think like in horror movies, like especially like hauntings and stuff, there's always like there's the outside priest who's like trying to help and stuff, but it's like very much anyone else would think we're crazy, but this guy is on the outside peering in, noticing something's not right. And I like it's not like he's taking photos and then like there's like some apparition in the background like a lot of horror movies. It's actually creepier to me that it's like this income like you can't really comprehend what's wrong with the photo. It's like this weird line thing running through that's like
And it gets thicker the closer you get to the camera.
yeah, and like that's a bizarre concept that
No,
it
well,
makes it more
what's
believable.
because it's that sort of suspension of disbelief thing where at first he thinks it's just like, oh, my film, that cell of film was messed up. Um, and then he sees it in more. So it makes him question, well, is this just an artifact of my camera, or is it versus just like, oh look, there's a spooky face in the background. That's too one note, one dimensional,
Can
and
we can we explain film for our audience?
it does. This movie did make me nostalgic for dark rooms, which is
Dark
something
rooms are so fucking cool.
the guy had one in his apartment.
He was smoking cigarettes in there and drinking
Hell yeah, dude.
beers.
Real photographers would definitely have that shit in their apartments. That's cool as fuck.
No, it's I really it's a lost art, and I sort of I mean, yeah, there's still photography and stuff.
Made me sad thinking about the movie Elephant though. But anyway. Um
The well, it's one of those where I don't know, photography, like a lot of things, now that everybody can sort of do it, but it's lost a lot of, I think, cachet in our society, which is really sad because I do think like it's a real craft and potentially a real art form, and it's something that's maybe not as respected as it should be, for like a really good photographer. And I don't know. I just remember back when my parents worked at the newspaper, they had a dark room. I never went into it, but I was always fascinated. I was like, ooh, there's this. When you're just a kid and you don't really know, people are like, that's a dark room and you can't open the door or it'll ruin the darkness. You're like, what? What the hell? There are demons in there? I don't know.
well, this is the part of the film where I'm like, okay, this is cool. I like the aspect of the priest cannot outrun the devil. And it's like this guy is like there's plenty of horror movies where things happen, there's ghosts or ghouls or whatever or creepy shit, but like he's basically fighting off a force of nature or what looks like a force of nature, like running and like the lightning's hitting the fence when he's climbing over it and shit. Like how terrifying that would be, like um to have to fight off
You
that
know,
level of like a force and whether it's God or the devil or whatever.
Yeah, of Satan,
you
of
Yeah.
know,
of pure evil, the embodiment of pure evil in the universe. Yeah, I can see why religious audiences in the 70s were. Yeah,
Now,
dude,
why?
I just have to say, during this whole thing, we've got Satan, all this fun stuff. Where was Jesus in all of this?
Yeah, it's
Where did
true.
he, you
They don't
know,
really try to get Christ's help to ward off this
they
shit.
just want to kill a
It's up
child.
to thing.
I mean,
But
he goes to the that exorcist who's like, hey, here's a bunch of daggers.
yeah, that's
Um,
true.
which
Now,
he
why?
travels he travels all that way, and I know he's like, here's the pattern you need to stab him with, and he's kind of like, well, I didn't need to buy a plane ticket to stab my kid. I probably could have figured that out. I don't know.
You think he
Why
bought
this
that plane
priest
ticket?
though didn't dive out of the way when the stake is coming down from the church is so funny, but it's also like so insanely over the top, almost like in an operatic kind of like crashing down, impaled, you know.
And then he's still standing because it's supporting him. That's the image of that is striking. Is
Yeah,
that
very striking.
he
And it's
doesn't
kind of like
slump
a
over.
rule of cool. Like, yeah, he's just like, and then it just comes down. But it is badass. But it's insane that they took a photo of it and it was in the front page of a newspaper. They used that level of like gore in a newspaper is crazy to me.
It's
Like, that
TMZ,
would be
dude.
so shocking to
Oh, that's some
people.
shit TMZ would do. I mean,
Yeah.
TMZ just recently did that shit with fucking Liam
Well, it's
Payne.
like that. scene in Hot Fuzz where that piece of the building comes off and crushes that guy's head.
Right. I'm sure that had to be a reference when they were talking about it.
Maybe.
Because there's all, it's not satanic, but it's like secret societies and shit in that movie. Um,
So you see that shit. Yeah, it's like, okay, this kid, the animals acted weird at the safari. Okay, maybe they were just having an off day. Okay, the kid didn't want to go to the church. For me, it's these back-to-back revelations right after this. The priest tells him that, that his wife's pregnant and all this stuff. And he's like, shut the fuck up. And then right after this sequence of the him being killed, it's, oh, he learns his wife's pregnant and she wants an abortion. And then 30 seconds after this, he sees the newspaper of the priest killed. And it's like, okay, hats off. Like, that's it. Like, to me, that's where I'm checking out. Obviously, he's still in denial. But if the priest said your wife's pregnant and then she turned out to be and she wants an abortion, then I'm fucking out of here.
I would have been like, that priest is fucking my wife. That's what I would have said.
No shit.
I would have been like, I'm glad that priest is dead, dude. That priest impaled my wife, and he needs to stop.
Also, just so everybody knows, we are a very pro-life podcast.
Oh yeah, surely.
Fortunately,
well, and that's another thing about this movie being edgy at the time. Roe v. Wade was 73, so them talking about abortion so blatantly in this,
yeah,
the fact that a psychiatrist is saying like your wife should get an abortion, which is a pretty intense thing for a psychiatrist to say. Even I mean in any era,
to be like, that's true.
But arguably overstepping the bounds. I would like to ask maybe I'll ask my psychiatrist next time I see him. Like, what do you think? Like, have you ever recommended an abortion to anyone?
Well, obviously, she's so like she's already convinced. Like this, I don't think this is my son. This something's off. I don't something's going on here. I don't want to have any more children. If you don't want to have children that badly, then yeah, you should not carry one to term. So I kind of get it, but
well, this whole movie to me, as a 31-year-old man who doesn't have kids, just because I'm getting, I think about fatherhood sometimes, and I don't think it's for me. At least not having. There's enough Scott in the world. I don't need more. Like, let's have another neurotic fucking nerd. I don't know. But maybe I can see myself fostering. But like, there's a lot of anxiety about parenthood, especially new parents. Like that's what Eraserhead's about. People are always like, "Oh, Eraserhead's this weird movie. What does it mean?" To me, it's about. First time I saw it, I'm like, "Oh, this is about like anxieties about fatherhood, and also about the creative process more generally, maybe."
Yeah.
But there's always a chance that like your kid could just be born fucked up. Like a lot of serial killers and stuff had really fucked up traumatic childhoods, but like some of them were just born wrong. And that's always the thing. And I also think there's I know people like this who you're supposed to have kids, and a lot of people get caught up in the idea of having kids. I think there are a lot of people who end up having kids and realize they don't enjoy being a parent. Not really. Like they not that they regret having their kid, but it's just not what they expected, and that they didn't necessarily want to like give up their child-free lifestyle. I mean, and that plays into all of this.
Yeah, totally. But it's like it's that point where Damien knocks them all off the balcony upstairs and she is in the hospital. It's like, and then Gregory Peck's character goes to the hospital and is told by the doctor that the baby didn't make it and all that. And you watch him have to slowly approach her bedside. And that's what stood out to me the most of the film is how much it really gave me like genuine sorrow for this guy. Because he, should he have switched the kids at birth? I mean, no, but like he was just wanting to give his wife a baby when she would have lost it. And now he's having to suffer at every turn of his life now. And it's a different kind of horror in that way. A lot of other horror movies, I'm kind of rooting for some of these people to get killed and stuff. And it's just, I was fascinated by how sorrowful I really did feel for this guy as the movie went on. and I really like that
Well,
aspect.
and I think that is part of the Gregory Peck, as weird as it was to see him in this movie. I think that's part of the brilliance of him, because he does have this like righteousness about him, because he's Atticus. And that, even though he's like a 1%er, he's a 0.1%er, he's low key one of the most powerful men in the world, kind of. Is that you're still able to feel like this is, at the end of the day, this is a righteous man who may not even be that religious. He feels
Yeah.
he feels like the kind of guy who's like, yeah, I go to church on Easter and Christmas, like one of those guys.
Yeah.
Because he's too busy, and probably is just like, doesn't think about it. He's too busy like thinking about his worldly stuff, which is part of his character arc. But you really get that sense through this, is like, this man doesn't deserve this. And a lot of that's through the casting, and just Gregory Peck being cool.
When he goes to the photographer and him and sorry, I was sick for a week. When the photographer and him go to the priest's flat and you see all the crosses on the wall, I'm like, damn, another thing we talked about in our last episode with all the crosses and shit. But this is like actual like crucifixes and stuff on the wall. It's not just like drawn with black crayon. So it's a little more intense. But you're like, well, why is this photographer so invested? And then you get that good musical sting of the reveal of the photo that he took of himself in the mirror with that jagged line through it. And you're like, oh shit. And that's where it like turns, because I was having a good time with the movie in the first half. In the second half, it suddenly becomes this like real investigation of him and the photographer. And suddenly it's like kind of some globe-trotting
Yeah,
adventure shit.
I was
Indiana
thinking of Last
Jones.
Crusade.
Yeah.
I
I
was
was
I was
thinking about Indiana Jones
I
too.
was thinking there's going to be a line on the
Da,
map.
da, da, da.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going like,
But
and
it
now
was
we have
like,
to go to Israel.
yeah, basically, I was like, okay, there's some globe-trotting in here. That's nice. Because like so many horror movies are usually just one or two small locations,
Yeah,
like
this
we're
is
gonna
a
keep
haunted
it.
house.
Because you can't have this spirit or poltergeist going all over the place,
Well,
or
that's what adds to the scale of this, though. The scale of this is so huge, because it's potentially world threatening. So you
yeah,
have to build that up.
yeah, big time. And it's like I like that at the end or the beginning of The Exorcist, you get that sense too, like this is a weird otherworldly thing, but it's like it starts in a different country, and then you get to the main story of The Exorcist, and it doesn't move from there. But from here, it's like, yeah, some shit's going down. We got to figure this out. And like great creative choices when they go and find the priest that was in the fire at the hospital. Of course, the the fire in the hospital happened on that day, and of course, the baby was born at 6 a.m. It's like, okay, the 666 stuff is so to me like hokey, old fashioned
But
shit.
It's the
this
best.
movie popularized it, because people don't
Yeah,
read, and most, like, dude, most people have not read a ton of the Bible. Like,
yeah.
honestly, even self-professed Christians, like, I don't know, reading's boring. I'm just gonna watch Passion of the Christ and call it a day. But except the Book of Revelations, because it's badass, and also the Book of Revelation.
Book of Revelation.
Yeah, I said Revelation.
You said Revelations.
No, I did not.
I'm gonna say Revelations.
Um,
Revelations is
which arguably shouldn't it be Revelations? There's more than one thing in that book.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
it's not revealing shit to me, dude. Got it all right here.
Um, what you know about the inner world? Well, it's such an acid trip. Maybe literally, he might have literally been like on like I've heard the argument that he was like inhaling volcanic fumes in a cave while he wrote that shit.
Bro, I bet
But
that shit would be fucking fun.
yeah, well, that's a whole like the Oracle at Delphi in ancient Greece is like, dude, she was just hanging out and high all day. They just got some wook bitch and was like, oh, this woman's talking to the gods. But there's the idea. I forgot what I was saying. Um,
six six
anyway,
six.
I don't know, this 666 thing, it's such a vague thing. Even the Book of Revelation is like, you have to have the mark of the beast in order to buy and sell things, and it never says like it's a birthmark on the Antichrist. That's just something that this movie made up, that again got popularized in culture because of this movie. It's not
I've
because of the
bathed
book.
him. I haven't seen a birthmark anywhere. Have you checked under his hair?
I remember in Teen Titans when Slade becomes uh Mark of the Beast-ified, and it's 555 on his head because they wouldn't let him write 666 because it's a cartoon on Cartoon Network, you
Well,
know.
it's like, yeah, they also edited. There's a character named Neji Hyuga in Naruto who has a symbol on his head that is initially a swastika,
Mm.
but like that Buddhist symbol that the
Oh,
swastika took it
okay.
from. But they changed it to something completely different. But
Yeah.
because, like, if you read the manga, it's just he takes off his headband and there's just this
Is this guy
swastika. It's
Charlie
like,
Manson? Because he has a swastika carved in his head too.
I like the great creative choices of like so they find this priest who was in the fire. He actually survived, but now he can't speak or he won't speak. And they need him. So instead of just writing something down on like a piece of paper, of course, he has to like write it in charcoal on like a stone table instead. It's like,
so
yeah, of
dumb.
course he does. Hell yeah, he does. And then the thing though is that I know he feels it's urgent. There's no way I would have traveled to Rome knowing that there a potential prophecy that my wife could possibly be killed. And especially while she's stuck in the hospital, I would have been like, well, I'm gonna have to wait until you're just good enough to where I can take you to Rome with me. Because there's no like he already figured out that she was pregnant and that she needed to keep the child, and then she was pregnant and hadn't and lost the child. It's like, well, those are two things that I'm already like, okay, fuck this.
Fuck yeah, fuck
But
no.
I'm not going to travel while my wife's in the hospital and potentially gonna
I'm
be.
not going to travel. My
I'm just
wife's in a
saying, man.
hospital.
I'm smarter than this fucking guy.
I'm
That's all
smarter
I'm
than
saying.
this fucking guy.
He's still in denial, and also he's probably traveling without his
It's
wife all the time.
insane. It's insane how far he is in denial. And like they go to the grave where the original woman was and the original child, and they figure out the woman's skeleton is somehow a jackal. And then the
So is that
baby.
implying that Damien's father is? I mean, that Damien's mother is an animal? I kind of didn't
She's
understand. Are they just saying like they fake buried his mom there and just like there's a dog skeleton or jackal, or are they saying he's literally born of a beast?
son of a jackal is what it is. And
Okay.
so I don't know if that means she's like a shapeshifter or what, but that was a
Sounds
little
like we
funny
need to
to me.
watch the prequel, The First Omen.
Oh,
Give it.
okay. I will
That came out
because
in 2024. Apparently, it got good reviews.
no,
'Cause
everyone when that came out, it came out of nowhere and everyone was like, this is actually really pretty good. And like some of the imagery I saw in a few of the screenshots, I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna have to check
Yeah,
this
I
out.
actually
Yeah,
think
which
I
is
might
shocking
watch that after
because
this.
I remember specific. I might have seen it, been with you, Adrian. I saw a trailer for the first Omen. I was like, we're making an Omen prequel now. What prequel is there to make? I guess it's about the conspiracy of Satanists within the Catholic Church,
It's like Rosemary's
Catholic
Baby.
hospital swapping babies.
But it was after like, well, we felt that way because last year there was that shitty Exorcist movie,
Yeah.
Exorcist Believer or whatever. It was just like came and went because it was so like mediocre or
I
whatever.
forgot that even came out.
Exactly. And then he realizes the baby skull is like smashed in or whatever. And he's like, they killed my son. It's like, why wouldn't they just like give the baby like an injection or something? Like they had to break his fucking skull.
Because what's
Because they're
easier,
Satanists.
injecting them or is like as soon as the birth was given, just slam them?
Yeah, swung him around like that. Yeah, but like I was saying though, like they have to fight off those dogs and shit. I was surprised that the photographer didn't die in that scene, but his death later on is pretty cool. But the even at this part, he's still in denial in ways. And then after this, to add to the shit I was talking about earlier, he gets that call that his wife has died. I'm like, I don't have problems watching a lot of horror. This scene made me almost not want to watch the scene because I was like actually so sad for him because it was just like genuine sadness I'm having for this character in this horror movie. Like it's so unfair that this is happening. And I was like, this is like getting me worse than any other actual scary scene in a horror movie. I'm just like the pain I'm having
It,
from
it is crazy. The image of the baby skeleton with the hole in his head is very striking.
yeah.
That's definitely one of the main images from this movie. That and the hanging that'll stay with me. and when the photographer dies, which is super cool. We'll get to that. But um, yeah, but we say all this about him being in denial, but also you've raised this child for 6, 7 years, and then you realize like you have to kill your own child. Of course, that goes against every basic human instinct that we have.
I know, but like once you figure out your wife has been killed after being told that was in a prophecy,
Well,
you,
that's the straw. That's the final
yeah,
straw.
but no, he goes to that guy in Israel or Jerusalem, whatever, that kind of place,
Palestine.
gets the knives, and then he still has doubts of to kill the kid. Like, are you fucking insane? Like that blew my mind. Like
I
you
mean,
watch the
you're still
photographer.
killing a child. Your cognitive dissonance is going to make you go pretty far with that
Yeah.
one. It's killing a
Also, Adrian,
child.
I don't think you believe in the Antichrist and stuff. So if this stuff was happening to you and they were like,
If this
"Hey,
shit
kill
was
his
happening
mom,"
to me, all this prophecy came true, including my wife dying. Yeah, it'd be over. I'm gonna kill this fucking kid.
Yeah, but what if it turns out he's not the Antichrist and all this shit
He
was just
tries to throw
coincidence?
the knives away, and then the photographer is immediately beheaded. Like, come on.
I'm just saying, dude. Like, what if it's all just a coincidence and
No,
this
to
whole
me, that
thing?
was like, dude, there's no way you're still not sure about
It's
this.
the tale of Abraham, man. You know,
Ah, I no, I'm not dissing the film. I'm just saying it was absurd to me. Like, as soon as I get the call that my wife is dead, it's over. Like, that's it.
as
well,
soon
yeah,
as
and
I get the call
that's
that
when
my
he
wife
go.
is
That's
dead,
yeah, that
No,
is
it's
it.
it's
over.
not. And he goes to get those knives, and then he still has like, I can't kill a kid. What if
Because it's
it's
a
not true?
child.
But yeah, because he's realizing he's having to kill his own kid. He almost wants someone else to do it. He doesn't want the responsibility. He wants, and that's
Father
why he doesn't
Abraham.
stop the photographer from getting the knives. He's like, "Fine, you get them. You do it. You do it
Yeah.
for me because I don't want to kill my own kid." I don't even think he's against Damien dying. He just doesn't want to do it
He
himself.
just doesn't want it to affect his
Yeah, but
campaign.
there's still an aspect of it like no, because he's even like, how can we be sure? He says that. And
That's
even at this
true.
point, I'm like, okay. I
Yeah.
think we're pretty sure.
Says you,
Just
dude.
kill every kid born on June 6th at 6 a.m.
Kill every kid that was at January 6th.
I was such a I have so much religious trauma that I remember on June 6th, 2006, I was nervous the entire day because of my religious upbringing.
Yeah,
Right.
and I couldn't jerk off on Christmas.
I couldn't jerk off for a couple weeks after my grandmother died because I thought she was watching me, which is weird because I don't think my grandmother would spend her afterlife watching a 12-year-old masturbate.
I I had I did kinky shit when my grandma died. It was weird.
Oh yeah.
Like with her.
No, with
Yeah.
the girl, a woman I was dating at the time.
Okay.
Anyway.
The oh, I remember this story. We won't get into it, but I,
Uh,
I don't know.
finish, Scott.
No,
Look me in the eye when you finish.
no.
Yeah. Anyway, the funniest part of this movie retroactively is when it hard cuts to him holding the bundle of knives on the plane. It's like, okay.
How'd you get those on here?
Oh, it's like an old movies where you see him smoking everywhere, smoking in hospitals and airports and stuff.
Yeah.
People are smoking in
Ah,
the maternity ward, like delivering babies.
I
Ash through
wish that was
cigarette
still a
on the
thing,
like
dude.
soft spot in the baby skull.
Imagine sitting on
That's
a plane and being like, oh, what you got there? Oh, it's a bundle of knives.
One
Oh,
of those
okay.
ceremonial knives to
And yeah,
kill
not just like I'm not a chef or anything. These are like jagged, old,
daggers.
ancient daggers. I was like, oh, okay.
We skipped over the beheading. I want to get back to the beheading.
I
Okay,
talked about it, but yeah.
I know. I want to talk more about it because I like
Okay.
it. Because there's a good misdirection where you think the truck's gonna hit him and then a pane of glass cuts his head
Yeah.
off.
that's so cool.
It's a good escalation or like escalation of expectations. And then also I love any old movie or anytime they're just like this is going to be a pain in the butt to set up, so we're just going to set up 6 different cameras and show every shot and just
Yeah.
repeat it over and over just to make sure we get our money's worth because
Like that
analog
Jackie Chan
filmmaking and this
movie.
is all a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah.
That's
Like
it.
what's that Jackie Chan movie where they do that?
I don't know. There's probably several. I
got stuck.
remember seeing some old Jean-Claude Van Damme movie on TV where like the guy couldn't vault over a table apparently, so they had to show it from like three different cuts. I'm like, okay, like that infamous fence scene on Taken 3.
Yeah. Well, he gets back and he's told like, well, he's got to have 666 somewhere on him. And it's like, okay, he cuts the hair, finally sees the birthmark. Now there's no way out. Finally, you believe it. God damn it. It was just like I was almost like relieved, like Jesus, finally. And the you as someone who's seen a lot of horror movies, I could see what was coming ending wise, kind of knowing going in like what probably would be the outcome of this movie because I've just seen enough horror and obviously this was ahead of its time probably with this kind of thing, but like it's still really well executed when he goes to the church and then the cops are following him and stuff and he pulls the kid out and pulls the dagger up, and the cops are like, stop or we'll shoot. And that had me like leaning forward all the way, like at the end of like an action movie, like, oh shit, is he gonna be able to do it? And then it has that slow-mo gunshot. And I thought it would be like I didn't know. I thought it was interesting that they, of course, immediately cut to a funeral instead. And it has that good fake out where it's two what are they called where you bury people in them coffins.
Yeah.
And there was just enough time to where I forget that the wife is also dead, so you're thinking, well, maybe it's Damien and him, the dad, they both died, fuck it, he sacrificed himself. But no, it's him and his wife being buried with that little shit still there. A
Yeah, and
little
then the
spark.
president adopts him. When does that happen?
I don't know, but
Like,
that was like
imagine,
I could see it was one of those sequences like you could see how many movies in the future it has influenced, and it's
yeah,
crazy.
Damien almost winks at the camera at the end.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's almost like like a Freddy Krueger kind of sort of thing.
Yeah, because that's so ahead of the time, and like the fact that he's still around and like it's seemingly unstoppable must have scared the shit out of Christians. I get it now. Like almost 50 years ago, that would have like spooked some people. It's unstoppable. Where was Jesus in all of this? That's right,
Yeah, dude.
Casher. Who
Where
knows?
was
Yeah, you're
Jesus?
watching this movie. You're old enough to remember World War One. Yeah, it's gonna be spooky.
Yeah, because like that priest had 666 on his wrist, and he's like, "Oh, I thought at first he might have been, Holocaust survivor or whatever." And it's like, yeah, that was so common back then. And it's like that was only 30 years ago, so it was crazy to think about. Now I
It's
don't like
crazy. It was 30
6 million.
years before this movie. Which, if they had uploaded any clips of the Holocaust on YouTube, they would have been blocked by David Zaslav. So, because it
Yeah.
was years ago.
Hmm. Interesting.
Fuck you, Zaslav.
We
It's
should
your
bring
fault.
him
He's
on.
personally attacking our channel. Our channel is personally at war with David Zaslav, and we will be reviewing the new Looney Tunes movie, and we'll like it. Maybe not.
Finally, they got a date announcement. It
Yeah,
comes out in February,
Oh, nice.
even
I'm
though
gonna
it's
sit on
already coming out in fucking Asian markets right now. So it seems like they couldn't figure out a proper placement for us. I don't think they have faith in Looney Tunes for some reason. Oh, it's only 2D. There's no LeBron James or Michael Jordan, so we can't give it like a proper summer or Christmas release, even though Looney Tunes have been popular for 80 years.
Yeah, I mean, it has, but with kids these days, I remember I tried to show some. I just put it on, and I was laughing for like my fifth graders at like a rainy day, like they couldn't go out for recess, and they were like complaining it was for babies. I'm like, this is great setup and punchline visual comedy.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna
I,
need
I
you to
had to
put
like,
on Nick A30 stream.
Yeah. Or I bought an Among Us potion at 3 a.m.
they
off the
were into
dark
Mr.
web.
Beast and stuff. They like Mr. Bean. I'm like, that's the same thing. It's just this is drawn. I don't know. It's that weird thing is when you reach a certain age, like early adolescence, you start thinking like, oh, that's for kids, that's for babies.
I don't know, just learn to market a movie. It shouldn't be that hard to market a Warner Bros. Looney Tunes movie to children.
And
Anyway,
I do wonder because it came out during COVID, right? The Space Jam New Legacy.
yeah,
Like,
well, 2021, I think.
yeah. So it's
It
I
did
think we
well.
should have their data on how that movie did and stuff, but I don't know. Also, that movie fucking sucks. So
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
very bad.
final thoughts on the Omen.
I give
None.
it
Okay.
4 men's out of O's.
I'll give it six.
Out
Six.
of
Okay,
10.
good.
Only so we don't get strike against us. I'll go to 5.
Okay, good. Yeah, the Christians are gonna flag our video. We're gonna get
Christian
taken
Christian
down.
Christian Zionist David Zaslav is gonna hate us for this episode.
Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Not exactly sure what we're gonna do next week, but we'll have one more Halloween themed episode for you. If you want to support the channel, we got plenty of other videos on here. Over 150 Harbor episodes. We got 5 or 6 video essays. Go check those out. We have a tie-in film if you want to support us monetarily. I have a book for sale in the description below. It's a coming of age story I wrote. You can go check that out. You can follow Scott at Scott K Comedy,
Okay, comedy.
me at the Mooring Line, and Casher. Don't follow Casher.
We're at and we're also on Patreon. Did you say that?
Yeah, we have a free Patreon because I wanted a house for any videos that I'm having currently any copyright problems with, which one is a Saltburn video, which is still in hell right now. I'm still waiting for a for Amazon to get back to me, which they still haven't. Who knows if they will. So if you're looking for a new Kino Cowboy video to watch, it's on that Patreon for free. We're just using that as a housing space. Maybe later on we'll have some more dedicated videos for that. But yeah, go ahead and follow that if you want. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.